Welcome back to another episode of the Pickle Pulse. I am your host, Brian Green, and today we are going to be talking about Thrive Pickleball, a company that I'm very familiar with. They're on their third release of paddles at this point. It was the Threat and the Rush in round one, then the Azul, which is right behind me here, one of my favorite paddles, and I've actually won a couple of tournaments with. And now Thrive has brought us the Surge. So number one, they've changed the graphics just a little bit, and I absolutely love the new look. Very simple, very clean. It's a 16 millimeter paddle, and it is an all-court paddle. So what does that mean in this day and age? Well, first and foremost, the thing that I look for in an all-court paddle is that it does everything really well. And so what that means is you can hit resets with it. You can hit your drops fairly consistently with it. It's got enough power to where you can hit a drive and put the other team a little off balance at the beginning of the point. So that is what an all-court paddle would do. The Surge excels in every one of those facets. The first thing that I noticed about it is the customizable aspect that Thrive brings to the table. So you can order this paddle in a swing weight of 114 up to 120. And depending on how well you know your swing and how well you know the paddles that you like, you can order them right to the spot you want. So for example, I like a swing weight of 117. So if you look on my little card here, it came in at 117.13. The twist weight is 6.83. The balance point is 24.01. And the static weight is 8.07. So the cool thing is you can order the paddle the way that you want if you know what you want. Many of the paddles on the market do specific things very well. So you can have a power paddle, you can have a control paddle, or you can have an all-court paddle, all right? If you know that you want to blast people off the court, if you're a 4-5 or less and you're hitting drives pretty much nonstop, then a power paddle might be the direction that you want to go. If you're a 5-5 that's really strong and you want something that you know you can consistently hit drops into the kitchen with, maybe a control paddle's a little more way to go. Or if you're like Brian Green here, who's a 4.82, and I'm looking to get up into that 5.0, 5.5 level, I need something that does everything really well, because depending on how my opponents are playing me depends on how my game is set up. Obviously, I'll start doing the things that I like to do the most, but if it's not working, I know that at the high level, you need to change things. So an all-court paddle is definitely one that I tend to enjoy more so than others. So let's get into the construction of this particular paddle. It is a Gen 2 thermoform paddle with foam injected walls that increase the sweet spot and the fill. It is a raw carbon face versus, I know the Azul was a Kevlar carbon blend, and the first two were carbon fiber, just like this one. The interesting difference between the Azul and the Surge is that the Surge feels much more stiff when you're playing. Kevlar tends to pocket the ball a little more. It tends to be a little softer. So I find that you'll get a tad bit more spin after it's been broken in. This particular one has felt fairly stiff since I got it, but super consistent everywhere, all over the paddle. And that's something I'll talk about in the playability. The swing weight is 114 to 120. Again, you choose the swing weight. It is a hybrid shape, which means that the total length is 16.3 inches and it has a rounded top. The width is 7.7 inches and the grip circumference is 4.125 inches, which is a little smaller, which I actually prefer. I feel it's better for flicks, backhand rolls, things like that. And the grip length is 5.5 inches, which seems to be more and more the standard as the TUI becomes a prevalent part of most people's games. And the grip feels fantastic. It's the classic Thrive grip. Feels great. I can really accomplish all the things I want with it. The core thickness is 16 millimeter, and it has a honeycomb core, like most of the paddles out there. It does have an edge guard, and it is USAP approved. Let's go. So like I said, the Surge is an all-court paddle. So I would give it, in the pop and power category, probably a 6.57 out of 10. Again, the top end of my power spectrum being the Gearbox Power Pro. That is a complete and total rocket launcher. The bottom end of it being a Selkirk Lux. So it's right in that middle to upper middle. What I like about the carbon fiber face is it does give you a tad bit more pop at the kitchen line, while the not overwhelming power of the paddle allows you to hit a lot of those control shots, your drops, your dinks, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this is, again, something, if you're looking for a power paddle, it's not the one for you. But if you are looking for something that does everything really well, I think this hits the mark. The other thing that I really wanted to say about this paddle is, if you're a fan of the double black diamond, I think that you will really enjoy this paddle. As I played with that paddle and it felt a little dead to me. So as a matter of fact, I tried the single black diamond the first time and it just was overwhelmingly poppy. It actually delaminated and I had to send it back. Then I got the double black diamond and it felt very dead to me. This paddle is shaped the same. It feels the same in your hand. It's just got 20% more pop and power. And I think that is really relevant, because that's a paddle that won Paddle of the Year award, and also one that everyone has enjoyed playing with over the past couple of years. So in the spend department, I felt like this was a paddle that did as well as most of the paddles I've tested. So I would guess that it's 2,000 plus RPMs, maybe 1,800 to 2,000 if you were to do the marks. And you can check John Q's database. I'm sure he's done it at this point. But I will tell you that I'm getting a good dip on the ball when I'm hitting it. It feels fantastic, and it has the ability to grab the ball. So this isn't going to be a world changer when it comes to spin, but it's going to be very, very good. And finally, playability. I will tell you that I've been playing with this paddle for about the past 10 days or so. And after playing with the TKOC, Christian Alshon, it felt really good to not have that extra pop and power. And what I mean by that is my ability to hit drops with this paddle has been excellent. It's not very heavy in the hands. It's not a head heavy paddle. And so I've been able to really counter at the kitchen line very effectively with it. And the last thing is my dinks are on point. When you have a paddle that is an all around paddle and one that you can hit all over the face, and pull out of the little shot here and you'll see, like, I hit the ball all over. I would like to claim that my sweet spot is always tore up, but I do miss a good bit. And so I want something that's really consistent. If I'm hitting it just outside the sweet spot or close to the sweet spot, and I'm getting that, and my dinks have been very, very high level, at least for a 482, right? The Thrive Surge can be found at thrivepb.com, and you can get savings by using my code PULSE10, which I'll put right here on the screen. Also, one last little note, Thrive also has dropped trainer paddles. Okay, so I wanted to throw this one out here because these are so much fun. And if you're trying to get better like I am, and you're going out and every once in a while having to play with lower level players, this is something you should have in your bag, because it makes that game that wouldn't be fun, that you're really just trying to pop it around and play with your friends, to a game that would be a little more challenging for you, and you're getting better because you're doing that sweet spot training. The other thing is playing with all trainer paddles with all your friends is super fun. It's a very different game, but highly recommend grabbing one of these. Again, Pulse 10 will get you a savings. These guys are like $50 or something like that, $50, $60. And then with 10% off, you'll save a little bit of money, and ton of fun to play with. Highly recommend grabbing them. And they look super cool, like the green one, as I am Brian Green. Well, I appreciate you guys sticking with me through the paddle review. And if you enjoyed this, please just take a moment to like the video, comment on the Thrive paddle that you really love the best, or if you already have the Surge and you got it in the pre-order, what you think about it. And finally, just subscribe to the channel, guys. Until next time, I'll see you on the courts.